today. I'm your host, Denise Mahaffey, and my lovely co-host, Tasha Jackson. We are here
Nice to
not
see
taking
everyone. Thank you for
spirituality seriously whatsoever.
no, because this is our life. It's like if you take it too seriously, then you get all depressed and sad, and so you just learn to laugh at life. We live, we love, we laugh. It's on the website frequencytoday.com.
Oh my gosh. So here we've put together a platform called Frequency Today. And that's because every day it changes and it can change moment to moment. We've seen so many synchronicities over the past few years that Tasha and I have been texting each other whatever we see. And strangely, she will see the same things that I'm seeing pretty much at the same point during the same day. And she lives states away. I'm not joking, we have proof.
Yeah. So we've been documenting. So I always tell people when I describe, okay, so I'm just going to tell you, Denise, because I don't know if I had told you this or not. So I have described our relationship to people as that Ghostbusters, the one with Melissa McCarthy and Kate McKinnon, the two of them. I'm like, that's us because we are documenting all of these seemingly paranormal activities, right? We're documenting it and keeping track of it and trying to make sense of it so that we can share it with other people and say, look, you're not crazy. This is real. The things that you're experiencing are happening to you. There are things beyond your senses, beyond your realm of, belief of what you see and what you hear in this world. And they're real. These things are real, which is kind of cool and fun.
And those things fall under the category of wacky woo and freaky foo.
As we have come to very, I don't know, lovingly call them, because sometimes there's just like, you can't make this shit up. There's that category. That's a general broad category for just about everything. But in the spiritual community, it's a saying. It's a real saying that in the spiritual community people use is you can't make this shit up. It's just things that are so incoincidental. Absolutely, they cannot be a coincidence. There are too many factors. There are too many things that have to line up. There's just, you're in that moment, you're at that exact place at that exact time doing that exact thing, and you see a thing and you're just like, that's not a coincidence. You can't make that shit up. So just know it's a thing.
And those
but
things,
we've categorized them because we're paranormal scientists, self-proclaimed.
so the things that we see are repetitive numbers. Honestly, I wouldn't have believed it unless I saw it. I shared some of the time-lapse video photography that I've taken with Tasha, and she's taken screenshots and sent them back to me, and I'm just floored at what she's picking up on that I didn't pick up on, and I'm the one that's taking it. So, I mean, it's kind of freaky. And when we talk about foo, foo is the technical term for light. So, welcome to the wacky world of light working.
Yeah. And, it's okay. So what's so interesting is that I have been on this journey my entire life, right? I have been consciously aware that I am on a spiritual journey, and that I, since a child, am moving from one position in life to another position in life. Okay. Religious people would call them stations, right? And so I understand that. I understand spiritual path. I understand those things, but it still is this. So there's also this cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance is that there's a gap in between what your previous beliefs were, and then kind of your world gets blown up, And then now you have this alternate perception of reality that your ego still can't comprehend. Did I do a good job explaining cognitive dissonance? And so a lot of the things that fall in freaky foo and wacky woo and some of the other things that we are experiencing on a multi-dimensional level, right? Because we're multi-dimensional beings. That those things fall under this cognitive dissonance where it's just, some of it is just like, no way, are you kidding? What? Sometimes that's a reaction. And then sometimes the reaction is like, oh, of course. You know, but then there are other things that are very awe-inspiring. You know, seeing the sunset in just a particular way, right? You know, there, I mean, again, it falls along the entire frequency of you know, being frustrated because you have some kind of calamity, like my dryer going out last week, right? So like, oh, I can't believe this is happening to me right now, all the way to the stunning, beautiful nature show that sometimes happens as a result of the beautiful skies that I'm able to experience, and feeling that like, oh, I can't believe this is happening to me. So I don't know. How would you what am I trying to say? How would you explain your experience with wacky woo and freaky foo? Similar or no?
It started with numerology. I started seeing repetitive numbers and I thought, what is going on? And it wasn't just double digits, it's quadruple digits or beyond quadruple digits. And it happens often. So I actually had to do a lot of research into what do these numbers mean on a spiritual level, and different sequences mean different things. So when you're seeing 111, that's go, that's foot to the floor, that's go. You know, 222 is just amazing, amazing synchronicities. Threes are changes upon you. 4, you're spiritually guided, so trust what's happening. 5, there's more change, but it's coming from a higher power. The 6s, don't even freak out about it. That's a good thing because your reality is changing. The 7s, you know, people are attuned to the 7s because it's good luck. The 8s, I mean, that's infinity. So, wow, you know, when you start seeing multiple 8s, holy moly, that's a good sign. The 9s, you know, you're close to completion. So, and then the 0s, it's a total reset. It's a fresh slate. Here you go. You know, and as Tasha was saying, these cycles happen. It's not just a one and done. It's an evolution. So that's what I can share as far as what I've experienced with numerology, but it happens all the time.
Hey, we're taking a short break to say thank you so much for watching Frequency Check. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our other social media platforms. And most importantly, don't forget to buy us a coffee and check out our coffee shop.
Sorry, I had to drink some water. One of the things that was channeled to me as you were talking was so not a lot, but there are some popular movies that are out that have spoken about synchronicities in the past. So the movie by Jim Carrey, 23, I think. I've never seen it because I think it's like a horror type movie or something. I'm not really sure, but I thought it's something. I'm very sensitive to like scary, gory horror kinds of things, or violence with psychosis, and you know, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I never watched as a kid ever growing up. So those kinds of things. So I think I think it falls under that category, but I think that's what it is like he starts seeing the number 23 everywhere and he starts questioning, what does it mean? So if anyone knows about that movie, they can please shed some, give me the synopsis in the comments. But the movie, that would be one example, right, of seeing signs and synchronicities everywhere. And then there's another movie that Matt Damon made that was it kept restarting. He kept restarting. And then once he realized that it kept restarting, the simulation kept restarting, and then he figured out how to get out of it because he would see the same things and he would do the same things. Free Guy is another recent movie that came out. So these movies have been all over. And so those are just some other examples of that type of reality being reflected in that space, that these are real things that happen. And so they made a movie about it because it's interesting, right? It's an interesting thing. Whether you believe in it or not, you can just say, well, at least it's something interesting, good for those people over there that believe in it. And then the people over here that believe in it are going to be like, do you know how many times those seemingly random numbers have saved me and from some situation or helped me to make the decision that I needed to make, and things went in the way that they were, divinely guided to. So that's about that.
That's all I have to say.
That was that download. That was that channeling that came through, was to say something about that movie in particular.
I love it. So again, we seriously can't make this bleep up. It really happens. We go through synchronicities every day. We text each other, and inevitably she'll be experiencing the same thing in a different part of the country.
Yeah. Like wearing black. Look, we're both wearing black. We did not plan that.
Nope. We did not do the twinsies. Hey, what are you wearing? Not at all.
Let's show up wearing the same thing. So
good.
When you said so, I lost what I was going to say. Oh, it came back. See, sometimes that's how it works. Okay, so another thing that is a synchronicity is different animals. So different animals will pop up, and I think the animals are a little bit more difficult to discern, except if it's an animal that is not in its normal state of being. So for example, I was in a place that has quail, and quail, the type of quail that we have in the desert, they're monogamous pairs. And it is so rare to see a quail that is not in a monogamous pair. It's so rare, so very rare. And so if I see a quail that is not in a monogamous pair, as happened to me a couple years ago, I saw a quail and it brought to my attention, oh my gosh, there's a quail, right? Because that is something that it is not in its natural state, okay? To see one quail completely by itself just chilling. That's not a thing. So but then there's a construction company named Quail. So that same day I was driving somewhere else and I saw this construction sign for a quail. And then I'm driving on the highway, and then there's a truck, another type of truck for another type of company or another type of business that is associated with quail. So that would be another example of an animal synchronicity. Another really great example would be, I came home one night and I was locking the gate, and I turned at some exact moment because something was like, hey, turn around, right? Like you get those channelings or you get those downloads or you get those whatever, and you turn, and at the exact moment, an owl flew over me. And I was watching the owl just fly, and they're silent, right? So if I had not looked up, I would have never known that owl was there. And that owl was, I mean, I couldn't reach out and touch it, but it was pretty low flying for me to have seen that it was an owl. So, you know, uh-oh, there we go. So that's another example, another huge example. And the owl is one of my spirit animals, is a spirit totem for me. So that was a huge sign for me to have seen an owl in that exact moment.
Yeah, I agree. The animals that I've come across, or that have come across me, let's put it that way, there were hawks that would fly into the backyard as I was journaling, and one of them literally put the brakes on. And so I have this hawk in my face, just wings flowing, like my hair was blown back like a wind machine. And I was like, is this really happening? So that to a pair of coyote that just were scampering through the neighborhood and happened to stop, and I freaked them out. Obviously, they didn't expect to see me, at 3 a.m. journaling. So yeah, there's nature is so cool. And some of the other things are like the Canadian geese that are out here. To hear them honking at daybreak is amazing. And when you look up what the spirit totem is about that, it's about leadership. So you really, when you get to take a look around at nature and life that's happening all around us, there are synchronicities and signs. I would classify the animal kingdom as part of the spirit totem and signs category, but definitely take a look at everything that's happening around you. It might seem strange in the moment, but there's a hidden meaning behind it if you dig a little bit deeper and you research into it. So that's what we have been doing for the past few years, is mentioning the synchronicities that happen, and we have irrefutable proof that it's way deeper. That'll be for like a whole show in and of itself. But the things that we've experienced, states
we'll present our evidence.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, synchronicities are real.
The synchronicities are
Stay
real.
tuned.
They're pretty wacky woo, I gotta tell you. But and that brings variety and fun to life, right?
Yeah.
So
well, and I think too that it makes you so much more of so aware. You're tapped in more. And it's not like you're looking for the synchronicities, but it's just when you're more relaxed and you're more in the flow of things, it's just you see these things and then you have an inner knowing about what it is that they mean. And so I think it gives such a different dimension when, I have taught my kids that every time we go out at night, we look up, right? Or every time that we go out into nature, we look down. What's happening, what's happening under our feet, right? And when we look up, to wonder what else is out there in the stars, right? And so I think it adds, a different layer and a different dimension to life that you can appreciate and enjoy, because honestly, sometimes life on this planet ain't where it's at. Someone I know used this phrase, that's for the birds, right? And so it's these kinds of pleasurable moments that add that, I'm having a bad day, I'll go outside and I'll just look and breathe, and then there will be some kind of majestic creature that flies across my path, and then just everything is okay. Everything is okay, everything is going to be fine. And so that's the way that I commune with nature, or I feel a part of everything that's going on, because I think that in our day-to-day lives, we can feel so busy and disconnected.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you.
Hey, we're taking a short break to say thank you so much for watching Frequency Check. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our other social media platforms. And most importantly, don't forget to buy us a coffee and check out our coffee shop.
On to our other topics. Ascend. What the bleep does that even mean?
Oh my goodness. What does that even mean? I'm still trying to figure it out. When I think I gotta figure it out, it's like,
It's a process. It's called life.
yeah, it's like,
Yeah. So it's people say, one, you go to the river alone, which is true. Whole nother
yeah,
story for a whole nother day.
yeah,
And go climb the mountain. But the mountain climbing part is an internal process. It's an inside job. It's not actual mountain climbing. It's overcoming the limitations of the mind so that the spirit can flow through the heart. And your mind, you kind of do lose your mind in the process. But what I
yeah,
mean by that is it's all the preconceived notions that were trapped in there, they dissolve. So you're left with a clean slate, brand new, fresh perspective on life. And now what do you do with it? The challenge with Ascension is you can feel like everything is falling away, everything that you have come to know and believe, you don't believe it anymore. Not after you've seen a different perspective in life. So
oh no,
without grounding and without grounding your energy, you can literally feel psychosis. And
yeah,
that's challenging because we have known people to succumb to psychosis and take their lives. So
yeah,
what we're here to say is if you are going through some major changes in life and your viewpoint on how you perceive life is altered, don't give up. Don't give up. There are other people that have been in this position. We both have. And that's
yeah,
not to say, we're at the top of the mountain, self-proclaimed gurus or anything like that. We've just been through some severe challenges in life, overcame it. Our perspectives in life changed dramatically. And now life is hilariously worth living. That's all I got
yeah,
to say about that.
yeah, because I'll say this. I did not grow up in a religious household, but I became highly religious later. And so I'm not saying that this happens to all religious people, but I'm just giving my own personal example of this process. And so because I didn't have a religious background, not really. I mean, I grew up around people who went to church, but I myself didn't ever participate really. And so it wasn't until later when I built up all of these beliefs, right? So I joined a particular religion. I started adopting all of these beliefs. But then as was moving through the process of ascension, all of the things that I had built up started to be slowly stripped away so that I could come back and talk about that experience later and what is that like? And what Denise is referring to mostly is ego death. And so when you have this person that you have built around whatever, right? Your career, your profession, your family status, your religious identity, whatever identity you have built for yourself, for that to be slowly, I don't want to use the term torn down, but transformed into something else because you feel you need more, or you feel this doesn't resonate with me anymore like it used to. I'm a different person than I was, and I don't necessarily like the person that I've become. Right. And so how do you make those changes? And when you voluntarily make those changes, it's a lot easier than, of course, when there's a challenge and then your perception has changed, because we all have had different tragedies, of course, that have changed our perception about differing things. Right. And so that's what I had to experience. And so I had to experience that erosion of the former person that I was into the person that I am now. But I have a very, very different perspective on spirituality and the role and function of religion and um and the mechanics of spirituality and religion, how they're different, what is for me, what is my truth, because everyone has their own version of the truth, because everyone's on a different timeline. Everyone is sitting from a different perspective based on their own personal experience. Right. And so that is, for me, something that, it's important for me to share that, because other people may be going through that as well, is that, you've built this version, and then that version of yourself gets kind of torn down and torn away. And then, you go through the dark night of the soul and you come out on the other side and you're just this person. I call it my sea legs. You're this wobbly, I don't know who I am anymore. But then it's an opportunity for you to say, you know what? That's a previous version of myself. Now I get to do it different. How am I going to do it different? Who am I going to become now? And so that's that clean slate that Denise is talking about, is really just that deep dive into your inner self and say, okay, this is how I'm going to show up in the world now.
We were talking about animal totems earlier, so let me put it to you in nature terms. We start out in life, we're the inchworm, and motoring through life pretty good, getting around, not getting stepped on. And then something happens and you start inching really fast. You see a branch and you just know something's going on. I can't explain it. All I know is I got to get to that branch.
Yeah.
Inchworm goes up the branch and boom, it ends up building a chrysalis. So chrysalis hangs there from the branch. Eventually it cracks open, and that inchworm isn't the inchworm anymore, it's butterfly. Does the butterfly come out of the chrysalis and return to its old ways and try to be an inchworm? No, it chooses to fly instead. So that's the whole process of ascension, which is the funniest part. Is all we've ever known is how to be the inchworm. So imagine being a butterfly and you're like, wait a minute, I can go back and I can scoot across the ground, and it doesn't work. It just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
So what we're talking about with ascension is, the funniest part is when we catch ourselves and we're like, wait a minute, I went through this whole transformation process. Why am I trying to go back to being an inchworm?
Yeah, and you cannot energetically. I cannot go back to the life that I had before. I cannot go back and do the things that I had before. I have to forge forward, and I have to trailblaze this new life.
And
it's
fly.
What's required.
And fly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there are different phases of ascension that are literally mind-blowing, which we will obviously be talking about, because it falls under the category of, what the bleep does this even mean? We'll also be talking about fact or fable. And that's where quantum physics, astrology, and mediumship come into the picture.
Oh, that's going to be one of my favorites. I love being a space nerd.
Hey, we're taking a short break to say thank you so much for watching Frequency Check. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our other social media platforms. And most importantly, don't forget to buy us a coffee and check out our coffee shop.
He asked me, what was your journey like to get to doing something from the love of your heart?
Wow. Can you repeat that question?
What was your journey like to get to doing something from the love of your heart?
Wow. For me, that was discovering that I am a writer, truly. The process was incredible. And the way it started for me was listening to the voice that I heard in my head. And okay, this is falling under the wacky woo category. You just can't make this bleep up. I was told at 3 a.m. as I got up to journal, this is your job. And I thought, what? I mean, my job is to be a publicist, or so I thought. And what ended up happening was I learned that I was going through Ascension big time. And
Yeah.
I had experienced one Kundalini awakening, and that just literally blew my entire life apart. So I just kept going with the process, and I learned that I am an empath and I'm a channeler. So in practical terms, that means I'm a medium and I'm a human antenna. And so I'm able to pick up on energy frequencies that are external to me and decipher them through emotions, the emotions that I'm feeling. And by being able to journal those emotions, I literally thought I was going to run out of words. And that was the funniest part. So this really started kicking in for me in 2019. And by the time 2022 rolled around, um, I will show you a stack of more than 20 spiral bound journals that are filled with information. And these are called downloads. So I am an avid downloader, and I've really followed my heart and just allowed this process to happen. And I didn't fight it. I fought it in the beginning, and that was not a good idea, because when spirit tells you this is your calling, you're going to learn it one way or another, or you're going to lose your mind in the process if your energy is not grounded. So I had to learn about energy frequencies and where they come from. They come from people, they come from the environment, they come from the self, and being able to determine where the energy is coming from was basically a coping mechanism. So I can I can make a choice, a conscious choice to put myself into that energy or take myself away from it, for self-preservation, because not everybody is on the same wavelength as us. And when that happens, there is a despair. There's, oh, I can't think of the word right now because I'm channeling in the moment. Uh, there's a discrepancy, let's call it that. It's different. And so it feels like a record scratch. And so following your intuition is a whole topic in and of itself. But being able to use your intuition in business and in life is a gift. And when you go through awakening, I can tell you that you're going to be learning about things that you didn't even know were possible. Again, falls under the seriously, we can't make this bleep up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this was my response to that. And I said, pain, suffering, hope, growth, healing, and thriving. That's how I responded to him. And this spectrum, so I made a fancy graphic. It's really not fancy. I made it in PowerPoint some years ago, but I'll put it up as I talk about it. So essentially there's this energetic frequency, the spectrum. So not only do we have the electromagnetic spectrum, which goes from short wave radiation, which would be X-rays, gamma rays, or gamma rays, X-rays, and then all the way down to long wavelength radiation, which is radio waves. That's what we know currently exists. Okay. I am in the belief that there are wavelengths that we have yet to discover. Just like we have elements there, I think that there were some like 10 new elements discovered last year. So we're discovering things all the time. So the world as we know it right now, yes, we say, you know, it's like this and look, it's like that. It could very radically change because of some kind of new information that was available to us that we were allowed to receive and experience. And so visible light is actually only on a very, very small sliver. This explains the reason why your cat or dog can see things that you can't see, or they can hear things that you can't hear, is because there is a spectrum. And so just like there is the visual component of that, but then there's also, I mean, because again, it's all energy, there are other components of that as well. And so this would be, I don't like to use the word or term ghosts, but these are spirits. These are people on the other side. This is what we understand death and after death to be, is this physical body, which everything on this planet has a time. Everything in the universe, but let's just keep it down to the planet. Everything on the planet lives and everything on the planet dies. And so, but our spirit, our essence live on. Where is it? And it's on the other side. Like we consider it to be on the other side because our mental faculties and our perceptions do not allow us in this limitation, in this realm, to experience those things necessarily full on. Cultures around the world have experience with those things. So for them, it's just kind of like, oh, that's a normal part of life. This happens all the time. But for us, we have been conditioned to ignore, eliminate, doubt, whatever, put whatever word you like on it. And so these frequencies also live within the realm of our emotions, right? So fear, shame, and guilt are some of the lowest frequencies. And then the highest frequency is joy and enlightenment. And so that is the reason why I gave that answer that I gave, because as Denise was speaking about earlier, I'm going to use the term repulsion. Things that are not on the same energetic wavelength are on the same energetic wavelength, but are at the opposite end of that energetic wavelength that you are, you will have a repulsion. And I don't mean, you know, insult in an insulting way, throw up, like gross. No, I'm talking about a magnetism. So the things that you're attracted to, right? So the law of attraction, the things that you're attracted to are the things that are in harmonic resonance with your soul and your heart and your core frequency. The things that are not in harmonic resonance are going to be polarized against you. So this is going to be the repulsion. So a magnetic repulsion, and you will feel it. It's the reason why you walk into a room and all of a sudden you're like, I don't even know that person, but I don't like that. It's because they're either on the exact same frequency wavelength that you're on, but at the opposite end, or they're on a completely different one. And so you're not going to jive with that person no matter how much you try to spin it. We've all been in those situations and those scenarios, right? And so, you know, again, that's how you can also know, is this thing for me? This is following a heart-centered life. This is navigating by, I don't I don't want to say desires in the context of intimacy, but the desires in the context of Buddhism is anything that you want, right? You could want just about anything, right? The desire of anything, but it's that desire that then turns into action that then motivates you to go and get that thing, or to pursue that thing, or to meet that goal, or to pick up that hobby, or whatever it is that you want to do. And so that's kind of the deep dive of, I don't know if that's a deep dive. I would say that's scratching the surface of about 10 different topics that we could talk about is really what it is. But I mean, that's the basics. That's the gist of kind of how it works. So I know that the things are for me because I have a harmonic resonance with it, but I also use it as a frequency check, which is the name of this podcast, right? Is frequency check. And then also we have frequency band, which is a group that we're starting up. And so I use it as this check-in of where am I at personally, not necessarily in the environment around me, because the environment that I'm in may be temporary, but I use it as an emotional check-in. Where am I at today? Because if people that I normally resonate with, now today I am not resonating with them, or I'm feeling kind of angry or something like that, then I will take a step back. And then that avoids a lot of conflict, a lot of confusion, a lot of frustration, self-sabotaging behaviors. It allows me to manage my frequency in a completely different way. And my frequency, then I'm able to manage my emotions, my actions, my thoughts, right? And helps me to also manage my mental health, especially, right? Because mental health is a huge component of this.
So true. True that.
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah. So that's how, that's how a lot of this journey has been, is just, one of the things I say is practical guidance through experience. And so we're here to share our experiences with our audience. And then hopefully some people can say, oh my gosh, yes, that is exactly what happens to me. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we have a term called by the book, and it's BY. So we go by the book. We don't make things up. We're just openly sharing, like Tasha said, our experiences through Ascension, and how life has its twists and turns, and how do you navigate through this awesome adventure that each of us is on, and how do we make heads or tails of change when change happens. So each of us is on this thing called the hero's journey, and each of us is the hero of our life. And sometimes it feels like the circumstances are out of our control, yet when you're able to channel into the power of intention, we have the ability to change our circumstances in a flash. And it may not feel like it in the moment, yet it's possible. It's definitely possible. So we'll be talking about loads of different topics on the hero's journey, which is literally incredible. And we've written a couple of books. Tasha's written one on spirituality, in addition to one in business, and how to apply your gifts to take a hobby or a side gig and turn it into your reality and make it your dream, so that you are living the dream. And the other part of it is, we're going to go through a lot of different life experiences, and that's everything from bliss to grief. And when we do go through grief, and trust me, I've been through a lot of it, can we come out the other side laughing and being positive about the whole situation? And can we learn from the process and not let it take over our lives? So we've written a couple of books, and all I can tell you is get ready to laugh until you cry, because the content that we've put out there is intended to make laughter be the best medicine that there is. So that's all we're about, is poking fun at life and laughing about the hard times that we've been through, because obviously they happen to us to help mold who we are and to shape our future. So we try not to take ourselves so seriously.
Yeah. Well, and one of my most favorite quotes is, there in a mountain range, there are just as many valleys as there are peaks. And I think that that is true. I have been reflecting on that a lot lately, that even though I have enjoyed a great amount of success and a great amount of happiness and a great amount of joy in my life, I have equally had moments of extreme hardship and challenge and fear and some of those lower vibrational energies that I was talking about before. But it's knowing that you can rise above that, as long as you stay dedicated and make a conscious choice. It is possible, but is it easy? No, it is not. It is not easy. This journey is not for the faint of heart. But if you're called to this journey, then know that you are strong enough to make it on the other side. And I think that, without personally knowing me and Denise, I would say that most likely that would be our attribute, our major attribute. It would be strength, because it's just knowing that when you, like, now we can see some of the hardships coming, right? And then we're kind of like, okay, it's coming. Here, I got to get ready. And so then you get ready for it, and then as you're going through it, you always work through and say, I know this is for my best and highest good. I know this is helping me to learn and grow. And then once you come on the other side of it, you have all of these new skills, you have this new perspective, you have new outlooks, you have sometimes new friends, a new job, and then you get, completely through, and then you stand on your, not your sea legs anymore, right? And then you say, you look back, and here you are on the peak of the mountain, and you look back and you say, wow, look at how far I've come. And then that gives you a sense of pride and joy in yourself, and knowing that you can overcome, as long as you have trust and you have faith, especially, and that you use all the tools in your spiritual toolbox, and that you can, I always have this phrase, if other people can do it, I can do it too, right? And so to know that people can come out of this and say, wow, okay, this is what this is about. But then also know that at some point there's going to be another challenge, but then being able to say, you know what, I'm ready, I can rise to the challenge, I know that I'm prepared, I know that everything that I just experienced now has given me the tools and the knowledge that I need to overcome the new challenge.
Hey, we're taking a short break to say thank you so much for watching Frequency Check. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our other social media platforms. And most importantly, don't forget to buy us a coffee and check out our coffee shop.
We are back from a break. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is Frequency Today. I am your lovely co-host, Tasha Jackson, and I'm with Denise Mahaffey. And she has her run and go get her tarot deck.
This is Angels, Gods, and Goddesses, and we just had this one come out. Hold on, I have to hold it back. It's the Goddess of Nature. And you reap what you sow. Your dream is coming to fruition.
See, that would fall under the you can't make this shit up.
You just can't. You can't make this up. So, in all fairness, she's going to have to probably edit this, but I'll go ahead and pull another.
Yeah.
Okay, whoa, that's like a whole reading in and of itself. So let's see what we got. Oh, it's okay to indulge. The angel of guidance. A renewed sense of direction and purpose will soon manifest.
There you go.
The goddess of psychic protection. What you believe, you create. No one can harm you. Oh, here we go. The angel of clearing. It's time to clear out old negative thoughts and beliefs. Weren't we just talking about that with the
Yeah.
transformation?
Yep.
And here we go. The angel of abundance. A steady flow of abundance is about to manifest.
Yay.
So there's your reading. We call that little segment Hit the Deck.
Yeah. Well, and okay, this came to me this morning to ask you because I was reflecting on this myself. You go first and then I'll share because your story may be more or less hilarious than mine because again, this is all about like just things just happen and you're just like, oh, okay. Like you get to a certain point where you're just like, of course. All right, here we go. How did you start reading tarot cards? How did you get into tarot and oracle cards?
Well, this is an Oracle deck, and I've had it since 2010. So it's been a while. It's a very well used, very loved, very well worn deck. It was a gift. It was just a gift from somebody I knew, and I thought, what is this? And so I started just feeling into it and using it, and I use it as a barometer because it's my energy that's pulling the cards. And isn't it ironic that what I pulled is so synchronistic to what is happening right now with
Yeah.
creating this podcast and with everything that we're launching? Hey, it's the cards. I could say it's me, but it's not. I'm just channeling energy. That's all it is.
Yeah. So I thought that it was going to be just like kind of similar to my story because Denise and I have talked about lots of childhood things or teenager things, and there are just so many parallels. So I thought maybe this would be a parallel thing for you. So this kind of harkens back to something that we were talking about earlier, about how you can resist. You can resist, but for only so long. When the universe calls you for something and you kind of are resistant to it, it will find a way to like beat down your door. And then here you are. So I had a friend. So, okay, I remember I was super Orthodox religious. I was super religious. And so even though I had studied a lot of occult and esoteric sciences as a kid and as a teenager, at that time, I completely rejected all of it and I didn't want anything to do with it. And so as I'm coming out of orthodoxy, okay, I had a friend that that invited us to her house. We went, she was living in a different state, so we had to fly. So I was at her house and her sister and her mom were there. Well, her sister was a tarot card reader and they kept trying to get me to get a reading because she was trying to practice because she was going to open her own YouTube channel and start her own tarot reading business and things like that. And so I was just like, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. So then finally something in me was just like, just do it because they're not going to stop asking you or telling you that you should get one until you do it. So just sit and do it. I sat and I was mind blown away at the things that she was saying. I did not tell her anything. Okay. And you could say my friend told her sister, but there were things I didn't tell my friend that her sister said. And my friend was not even around in the vicinity when I was getting the reading. And so there's no way that she could have been like even passing her information in the moment or anything like that. And so I was just like, okay, I'm listening now, because I'm a really skeptical person, actually. I think that's something that people need to understand. I'm a really skeptical person. And so I need a lot of scientific proof in order to believe something. That's just part of being an Aquarius. And so when I sat in that reading and I just was like, there is no way she could know that or talk about that or bring that up. Okay. So the next summer, I had a coworker that asked me, do I read tarot cards? And I said no. And she said, well, I'm going to give you my tarot card set and I want you to learn how to read so you can do a reading for me. And I said, I'm not going to do that. So then I ended up doing it anyway, because that's the universe is like, right? It's like, you've got to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And so I ended up doing it. And that was my very first experience. But what it really was, it wasn't about me necessarily learning how to read tarot cards and do readings for people, which I do not do. I also do not do astrology readings for people. Sorry, unfortunately. But I what it was doing though was training me on understanding energy at a completely different level. So being an energy reader and going into the depths of energy reading, and now I can feel the planetary energies of the different planets. That's how energetically sensitive I've become through the process of learning how to read tarot. Now, I have received the guidance from above to take the training wheels off. And so I very rarely watch tarot, and I very rarely even do readings for myself anymore. I wake up, I have a feel for the energy, I have a feel for how the day is going to go, and I live much more in the moment than I used to. And so that has become a really important part of this journey, because the past is already gone and done. At this point, it's just an illusion memory thing that happened to you. And the future is absolutely an illusion. It has not been created yet. Right. And so the only thing that you can do is live in the moment. And I just, I cannot say, there are no words to describe how energetically sensitive I am now, but I understand, especially quantum physics and quantum mechanics and particle physics on a way different level than I did before. And so that's, again, some of that like busting out of those beliefs, because even though I studied physics, I never married the two together, right? To have this understanding of the world that I had sought, that I very first, when I was a teenager, was like, I want to understand how the universe works, right? That was like my desire that I launched out into the universe. And this is the journey that essentially it has taken me through. How cool is that?
Hey, we're taking a short break to say thank you so much for watching Frequency Check. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on all of our other social media platforms. And most importantly, don't forget to buy us a coffee and check out our coffee shop.
Which brings us to our last segment of Pick Your Niche. So you as an entrepreneur have done that. And now as a light worker, you're definitely following your bliss, which involves astrology and astrophysics and quantum physics. And the interesting thing is my path, I am now a sci-fi writer. Did I ever think I would be a sci-fi writer? Nope. Did I ever think I would have a complete comprehension of quantum physics? Not until I really just eased on into the Ascension process and allowed the universe to show me what my purpose is. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Have you any comments?
Yes, I would say that watching you develop as, I mean, you already were a writer, so let me not say develop as a writer because you already were a writer, but to develop as an author that is desiring to share your gifts with the world. Okay. Because what people don't know about Denise, and that I still refuse to believe, is that she's very introverted. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But Denise says that it's true, so it has to be true. And so I would say that in a personal transformation sense, just watching you over these 4 years, because even I can't believe it's been 4 years. It's gone by so quickly. But even watching you over the course of these 4 years has, for me, first of all, helped to keep me sane. That's the first thing. And then also just watching someone else move through a transformative process. And I think on another episode, we talked about having an Ascension buddy, about how amazing and helpful it has been to have an Ascension buddy, and just watch Denise. It has really made my own personal journey a lot less scary. A lot less scary. It really has.
It was so scary.
That what?
Because what I was going through was so scary.
Yeah, because changing, okay, so leaving one state of being and what you know, and then completely changing into something that you had never done ever before in the past, that's really terrifying to a lot of people, right? That really is. It's just because humans, okay, biologically, right? So let's talk about evolutionary biology for a second. Humans need consistency and structure. And so then when you have, for example, Uranus come through and is all about like chaos, and then you have Pluto that's all about like restructuring and demolishing and ripping and burning and just get it all out. And then you have both of those in play in your chart at the same time, where your whole entire life is being completely blown apart. It can be really, really daunting, and it can be really scary. But I would say that watching you just surrender to the process, that was a comfort for me, because then I was able to more surrender to the process for myself. And I was more able to see and understand how the things that you were experiencing in tandem to what I was experiencing, kind of living this parallel reality, it really was such a guiding light for me to say, okay, I understand that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to work out. It's for my best and highest good. You know, there are going to be times when I look back on this time and say, you know, that was a really difficult time, but I managed to move through it through the inspiring experience of Denise. Right. And so again, having an Ascension buddy, at least for us, it's been so comforting to have a mirror, for sure. So that's what I will leave off on, is the comforting, inspiring nature of the humanoid being that is Denise. She's up here because we're in the room, and I have my window squished. So Denise is above me. So thank you, Denise, for being amazing.
Thank you, Tasha, my Ascension buddy. And I would say that's our first episode of Frequency Today. We will have much more wacky woo and freaky foo for you in our next episode. So stay tuned. And on Earth Day, be sure to check us out at YouTube, Frequency Today at YouTube. We are launching something literally incredible and mind-blowing.
Yeah. You get to see Denise's part of Denise's transformation in action. So she's releasing the things that were happening during that time for her. So it's new age eco arts. So it's a completely different type of art form. Completely. I've never seen anything like it before. And so that will be very exciting for us to see. And then make sure that you follow us. We're on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok. Buy us a coffee. Don't forget to buy us a coffee. Check out some of the resources that we have on our website. And also check out our books on frequencytoday.com.
So thank you, everyone. And until then, have a great hero's journey.